What is good, everyone? So we're not to with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone, and I'm here with none other than Tim from the TIMS Sports Talk Audio for another great live stream tonight. We have so much to talk about, so many rumors, there's so many things going on with the Washington football team. We had the front office moves, obviously, the last couple of weeks and stuff. So we'll be diving into that. But first and foremost, I do want to get into those moves in the front office. What are your last thoughts on the Martin Mayhew hire first as the next general manager of the Washington football team, and the Marty Herney hire as well as the executive vice president of player personnel? Also, what do you think that means for Kyle Smith and his future here in DC?
Yeah, I know there was reports saying that he wants out, Kyle Smith, that is, I guess, now that they've hired a GM, and I guess they hired Herney where the position he was in. So I guess he is definitely going to be out. As far as the other hires, what sucks is that I felt so good for the last 3 years going into draft that it was going to be we're going to find some gems. We're going to hit. It's going to be a good draft. Now, I don't know. Like, I'm back into the I don't know what's going to happen. I'm nervous about the draft. I hope that it works out. I know that Martin Mayhew has had some drafts miss, at least back in Detroit day.
Yeah.
But and then it depends on how much credit you give him in San Francisco as well. But I don't know. And right now, I'm not thrilled with the moves made because Kyle Smith's out the door. If these guys were hired, but Kyle Smith was still here to help with the draft, I'd feel a little bit more nervous. But that's where my head is right now with those moves.
Okay, that's fair. I wouldn't say I'm all the way there in terms of thinking that these moves are absolutely spectacular. Hit it out of the ballpark sort of moves. But I will say though, yeah, I am worried about the whole Kyle Smith thing and him not being here in DC. I mean, he's made great draft picks over the last couple of years. He has also made some not so great draft picks, and a lot of fans don't talk about that too much. But yeah, I'm interested to see, how much longer he has here in DC, if he's going to stay here until the draft, if he's going to leave after the draft. I don't know. But I will say with the Martin Mayhew pick, I mean, I understand why you don't necessarily like the hire. He didn't have the greatest draft picks in Detroit, and he was the general manager when Detroit Lions went 0-16. That was an 0-16 team that he
It was his first
right?
year.
Yeah.
First year. I don't kill him for that.
Yeah. I will say though, he's made some great draft picks over the last couple of years. I actually do count some of the picks with the 49ers at least partly towards him and his acumen in the front office. He also got, Darius Slay from the Lions, and that wasn't like, an early first round pick. That wasn't a given.
I think it was a third round. I think it was a third round pick for Darius Slay.
Yep.
No, second round pick for Darius Slay, and in the same draft it was Larry Warford.
Yeah.
From now he plays well at the Saints as a guard. Yep.
So, and then with the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, Mike McGlinchey, Fred Warner, who I believe was a third round pick, Brandon Ayuk. Also took some risk on guys like Richard Sherman, Jason Barrett, who were both getting up there in age and also very injury prone. Both those risks pretty much paid off last couple of years. And then with Marty Herney, I mean, he has had a lot of hits in the first round, right? DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, obviously, Julius Peppers, Thomas Davis. But the thing is, though, a lot of people, say that Marty Herney is not a great hire because of the fact that, he hasn't made great picks out of the first round, but outside of the first round. But at the same time, he isn't going to be the general manager. He's just going to have a sort of senior, VP role in the front office. And I don't see any problem with that. I didn't necessarily like him as the next general manager for this team, but as just someone in the front office who will deliver some more experience and someone who Ron Rivera could trust. I think he's a pretty good fit there. But yeah, I mean, interesting hires to date. And I do want to move on to someone who Martin Mayhew particularly is very familiar with, and Matthew Stafford. And I want to talk about all the rumors that are swirling around Matthew Stafford. I was wondering, do you think we'll really be going after him at this point, right, with all those rumors going around? Or do you think he'll probably end up with a team like the Colts or potentially even the 49ers?
Another team to maybe keep an eye out for is the Broncos. I know the Broncos might be ready to move on from Drew Lock, and then that he could be going to the Lions, and then Stafford could be hanging out in Denver. But Do I think we will make a move?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say, right? Because it's probably going to be the same thing for all of the options out there, because there's so many different places players can go. They have so many different options that it's going to be hard to pinpoint which one is going to be a hit for everybody. But I definitely see us being in the market for Matthew Stafford. I'll put it that way. I definitely think that if I traded a first round pick and maybe like a Tim Settle, or I wouldn't really want to give up anybody better than Tim Settle on the D line. But I guess if I had to give up a Matt or I don't want to give up Jonathan Allen, definitely not chasing Montez. So, and I don't really want to give up Duron Payne either. So maybe Matt, but I would definitely get rid of Settle, not get rid of, but we just can't pay everybody, right? So eventually he's going to have to go anyway. He's not going to get another contract here. So if we had to let him go, him and a first round pick for Matthew Stafford, I wouldn't despise it, because I basically turned my first round pick into a quarterback for the next 4 to 5 years pretty easily, I would say, because he's only 32. So he could definitely play until 37, 38, somewhere in that range. And so I wouldn't hate the move, but it's not necessarily my first choice.
That's fair. I would very much like the move. I know Corey was on here, I believe last week or the week prior. Is not a fan of Matthew Stafford whatsoever, and does not want Washington to give up assets to trade for Matthew Stafford at this point in his career. But I'm all for the move. Like you said, you get at least 4 to 5 years of very solid quarterback play, arguably top 12-ish quarterback play in this league, which is very hard to come by in the NFL. It's very hard to get a quality quarterback. And we need to take advantage of the fact that we have so many players on rookie contracts. On that defensive line, a lot of those guys are going to be up for big money, in no time. We need to take advantage of this 2 to 3 year window where we can really rack up the wins, really make a run at a championship. And I think Matthew Stafford is actually a very good player who could help us do that. And in terms of trade packages, I would say, yeah, I think a first round pick has to be included in the package. If not, maybe two second round picks. But I would say probably a first round pick. And I think we would have to give up maybe a Tim Settle, but then obviously have to give up another pick as well. I just don't think a first round pick and Tim Settle would be enough in the Lions' eyes. So, but I think we could get it done. Although I
guess if you say that, if I have to give up a first Tim plus, depending on what that plus is, I'm like, even if as high as a third, like if it's a first, third, and Tim Settle, that's probably my most personally that I would be comfortable giving up. If I'm going to give up like a first and a second, or like a first, a third plus, then I'm probably out of the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes, in my opinion. But what do you think?
I think if we give up maybe a first, a Tim Settle, potentially a 4th round pick, potentially a 3rd round pick, not this year, but next year, I think that's doable. I think we can make that trade package. I just think a quarterback, we need a quarterback. I know that Ron Rivera, everybody in that Washington organization right now knows that they need a quarterback. And I mean, we need to get that quarterback this offseason. If not, we're going to waste another year of really high-end talent on that defensive line in particular, and really not make too many strides in the regular season. So I think we need to get it done. And Matthew Stafford is probably the guy that's at the top of my list right now. Although there is always the dream fit, the dream player, and Deshaun Watson. And I know you've heard the rumors. I know everybody in this chat has heard the rumors. King Sean, shouts out to you for joining the 3 Super Bowl champ skins as well, Outlaw Kings as well. Deshaun Watson, the rumors. I mean, now Adam Schefter did post a tweet, I believe, earlier today saying that Deshaun Watson has formally requested for a trade. It's probably in the works for a couple weeks now, but maybe Adam Schefter just got official news today. I was wondering, do you think we should look into trading for Watson, or do you think he'll end up with another team? I know there was another report that the Texans would want to trade him to the NFC, and that would mean either the Panthers or the Washington football team right now. What do you make of all that, the rumors and the best fit for him, really?
Right. So do I want to trade a boatload because that's what's going to have to be for Deshaun Watson. And I've kind of fallen on the answer of no, I do not. You need a team around him. He's went 4-12 this year, leading the NFL with passing, right? So he still needs a team around him, which most quarterbacks do, if not all quarterbacks do. But the point is I want to continue to build that team. And it looks like what we're going to have to do to get Deshaun Watson is probably 3 first-round picks. And yes, he's better than RG3 when we did this last time, 3 first and 2 seconds. Yes, of course. But not only are we getting rid of 3 first-round picks, but then next year we're paying him $42 million. And the year after that, we're paying him $40 million. So we're getting rid of 3 first-round picks, and we're killing our cap. Like, that's a huge cap number on top of it. And it's going to be probably at the cost of a Daron Payne or a Jonathan Allen. Like, we're probably going to lose one of those defensive linemen, and then we don't even have the first round picks to replenish what we may lose in that. So I am not really on board with the Deshaun Watson trade. And I understand they don't want to trade to the AFC, but in my opinion, the best spot for everybody, including Houston, Deshaun Watson, and the next team I'm about to mention, the Miami Dolphins. I think everybody wins if they go after Tua Tagovailoa, the number 3 overall pick, and then the number 18 pick. Houston could rebuild with that by getting rid of that huge cap number for Watson. They get a much less cap number for Tua. Tua is also on a rookie deal with 3 years left on his rookie deal, plus a 5th-year option. So they're going to have a potential franchise QB on a low contract. You can use that 3rd pick to either go get that left tackle, but if the Jets take him, you can get one of the receivers if you like them. Or basically, that number 3 overall pick is extremely valuable. So, and then on Miami's end, they're a 10-6 team that just got a better quarterback, of course, Deshaun Watson. They're only trading their first-round picks this year, and they may trade like a couple of later-round picks. But I think because you have the number 3 for sure in hand, I think that's worth a heck of a lot where you may be able to get out of not trading next year's first because of how valuable that is, on top of you also trading a potential franchise quarterback in Tua. So I think you may be able to get out of trading that extra pick. So I think that's a win for Miami. And of course, Deshaun goes to a 10-6 football team with a fantastic coach in Brian Flores. I'm sure he loves Brian Flores. And they have a solid defense over there, solid team all around. So that would be my pick. But I understand they want to go to NFC. Carolina, I mean, they have a couple of nice weapons. Obviously, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Like, it'd be interesting over there. Of course, Christian McCaffrey as well. So if the Panthers go for it, that's not ridiculous, but it depends on how much they want to get rid of, like how much they sell. But that's my thoughts.
Okay, that's fair. I will say this: I definitely agree with you with the best fit for everyone involved in the Dolphins. I mean, they're 10-6. They didn't make the playoffs, but they're a 10-6 team. They have all the pieces on that defense. They have great coaching and Brian Flores and his staff. Their offense, they're building something there. They got pieces, Devontae Parker, that running back stable that they have. It's really quarterback, right? That's the issue for them. And they could get Deshaun Watson. Look out for the Dolphins, man. They're right up there with all the teams contending for the top of the AFC spot and contending with the Chiefs really for that. But I will say this: I would actually give up the 3 first-round picks to get Deshaun Watson with the caveat that we actually acquire a wide receiver. Maybe not maybe. We'll probably we definitely won't get a guy like Allen Robinson and Kenny Golladay, right? Like that tier, right? Because they'll command too much money. But maybe a Curtis Samuel in addition to Deshaun Watson in the offseason. And look out, man. Look out for the team. We will give up the first round picks, but we also have other picks throughout the draft. We have 2 third-round picks this year. We have a second-round pick for the first time in 2 years, I believe. So I think I would still go after Deshaun Watson, although the chances of that happening are very slim at this point. I think he will end up with a team like the Dolphins. 49ers, I know, are very interested in him, and if they don't get Matthew Stafford, maybe you might go after him hard in the offseason. I know there's a lot of people who are talking about the Bears potentially going after him, but like I tell my friends this all the time in Chicago, the Bears have no money. Like, they just
Yeah.
have no money. And I mean, you're going to add Deshaun Watson $40+ million cap hit next year. That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, sure, it would get you
Well,
that
he's
much
only a
ahead.
15. He's only like a 15 and a half this year. Or like
Yes.
the very next season, like in 6 months.
Yes.
Which
But
I
I
don't know if
still,
I don't know if Bears can make that work or not either, but I know they don't
yeah.
have a great cap. They have a lot of money in that defense.
Yeah, and an aging defense as well. Khalil
Mhm.
Mack, I believe he's still under contract for the next 2 years at least, right? So if he's under contract, 2 years from now, what are you gonna do? Like, you're not gonna have any cap money. You're not gonna have any draft picks. They just went through a whole situation where they didn't have first round picks for consecutive years because of Khalil Mack and the trade that they made with the Oakland Raiders at the time. So I just don't see the Bears being a good fit. And then with the Jets, again, I mentioned this while you were talking. Deshaun Watson has all the leverage really in this trade. He has a no trade clause, and he already submitted the formal trade request, and he's willing to give up money. So pretty much has all the leverage at this point, much like an NBA type of situation, much like a James Harden type of situation. And I think if he wants to go to the Jets, that's a good possibility. Although I don't think that's a good fit whatsoever for him. They don't have any weapons on offense besides maybe Jameson Crowder, who we know very well, but even he is
They
not
have
like
a
a top.
boatload of money though.
They do.
They
And
could turn all
they
that
do.
money into a Allen Robinson and a Kenny Galladay. They have
True.
that much money that
True.
they could pull both of those if they pull a Deshaun Watson as well. That'd be wild.
That is a very fair point. But at the same time, they don't have enough money to fill all of the plenty needs that they have on that defense
Plethora.
as
Yeah,
well.
plethora.
I mean, remember that game where I know you remember Greg Williams got fired right after for
The
that
Raiders.
inexplicable, defensive miscue at the end against the Raiders. Yeah, their defense is not good whatsoever. So I know they have a bunch of money, but if you're gonna give up a number of first round picks, you're gonna have second round picks for the next couple of years. I just don't see it as being a good fit for the Jets. Although they are in New York, they are trying to look for marketable players, and I don't believe in Sam Darnold out there in New York. I know his weapons haven't been the greatest, but I just don't believe in him as a high end quarterback in this league. Sure, he could be solid starter, but I just think that experiment is over in New York. And but we'll see. I mean, there are also rumors that they might hold on to Darnold and maybe keep their first round pick that they really want and go after maybe a Penei Sewell or Devontae Smith, something like that, and then keep the picks, keep all the money, and then build. We'll see about that. Although to go back to the beginning of this of my comments, I agree with you. The Dolphins are, for me, it's not even close, the best fit for everyone involved, and would really put them over the top if they got Deshaun Watson.
Right. To answer Outlaw King's question, what would I, because I guess I was only talking in the negative, what would I give up for Deshaun is I said 2 first rounders, a third, a fourth, and Tim Settle. Maybe Matt Ioannidis. That would be my package that I'm sending. But compared to what Miami would be sending, that's pennies. That's
That's
not
high-end
even
first-round picks versus
exactly.
tail end.
Like that's not even close in comparison. But that would be what I would be willing to give up for a Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. 3-time Super Bowl champ Skins mentioned the chat. Cordell Patterson is a free agent. I mean, he'd be a good pickup on the special teams because my gosh, we haven't had a legit kick returner, punt returner in so long, man. We thought we had, some of us thought we had something in Steven Sims, but a lot of us didn't, and we were proven right, of course, with the fumble a game that Steven
I like
Sims
Steve Sims. I did. I will admit that I was a Steve Sims fan. Like I know Cooley was talking him up 2 off seasons ago at training. Like this guy is legit. But and I mean he showed some good flashes.
Picks he got wrong.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. But he showed good flashes last year. Obviously, like the 60-some yard run on the end around of the Patriots. Like he's shown like an interesting slot receiver. But you're absolutely right. Way too many drops. Way too many.
Yeah.
Would you say one a game? It might be 2.
Yeah.
1.5 a game.
And towards the end of the season, I even said some of those drops, I count them as fumbles as well because he started copping up the ball as well.
Yeah, on punt returns. Yeah.
But Outlaw Kings also brought up another guy that maybe we could look after in the offseason. Derek Carr. There are rumors that maybe he might be out in Las Vegas. I mean, do you think he'd be a good pickup that won't cost way too much money like a Deshaun Watson? Also won't cost a lot of draft picks, obviously.
His cap hit, I think, is actually relatively high. I think he signed a pretty large deal for Oakland a few years ago. So I think his cap hit's actually kind of close to Matthew Stafford's number. And if I remember right, I could look it up here in a second, but I am not the biggest fan of that idea. That's not what I would do. Like with all the other options out there, Carr is way down on my list, way down. But go ahead.
No, same. I agree. But if Derek Carr is making Matthew Stafford money, that's a definite no for me.
It's not as high as I thought it was. He's actually a $22 million this year.
Like Alex Smith, kind of.
Yeah, it's actually not as bad as I thought it was. He's 2 years left on his deal, and it's around 20 mil. 22 and 19. So it's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would say this: if we go after Derek Carr and then maybe get like an Allen Robinson or a Kenny Golladay or high-end receiver, keep most of our picks.
What are we trading for Derek Carr?
I would say not a first-round pick. Probably like a second-round pick, maybe 2 second-round picks.
2 seconds?
And maybe like a Tim Settle. Probably not. I don't think you need to give up that much to get a Derek Carr. Although he's a quarterback.
Second and a late rounder is what would get it done? Like second and a fifth or something?
I think it has to be more. Darius Slay, didn't he? I think it was a 3rd round and 5th round pick, right? The Eagles traded.
3rd and a 5th?
Yeah.
Is that for Darius?
Yeah, Darius Slay. And he wasn't. I know he's a high-end cornerback, but like he's not a quarterback.
Wait, what was it again? 3rd and a 5th?
3rd and a 5th. Yep.
Yeah, maybe it'd have to be a little bit more for Derek.
I don't
know. I'm still on the board of he's low on my totem pole with all the options out there.
That's fair. And I agree. I think Matthew Stafford is the guy right now. If we don't get a Matthew Stafford, maybe get a Derek Carr, or maybe even get a young guy in the draft. Although I think I should have plugged this at the beginning, but I do have an interview with a reporter from the Alphabet Network, four-letter network that will be up hopefully by sometime tomorrow, where he does bring up the fact that the team is looking for more so a guy in free agency, a veteran guy over a guy in the draft, and guys, make sure to look out for that. But I just think the chances of them getting a guy in the 1st round, quarterback versus in the offseason versus via trade versus free agency, I just think they're going to go with the veteran guy at this time. They need someone.
I have the guy I want. I don't know if you have him in the itinerary to talk about or not, but so I'll just let you. But I do have an idea that is my top choice now. Is what I want.
Is it Marcus Mariota?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So moving on,
Mm-hmm.
I do want to talk about the division and Washington's chances in it for the next couple of years. Do you think this is really the NFC is really the division? Is really Washington's to lose for the next couple of years with the current front office in place, and that we're building hopefully a sustainable winner for the first time since I don't know how long, 20 plus years. Do you think, who do you think we should pick up in the draft or free agency to really solidify us as the best team in the division?
So if we get a solid quarterback to a good quarterback or even a great quarterback, if we upgrade our quarterback significantly, let's put it that way, to the point where you don't have 4 quarterbacks playing next year. If we can have 1 quarterback playing all year next year, I agree. I think that we should be amongst the favorites, depending, I guess, on what the Cowboys do. I know the Cowboys probably could get healthy. That they have a lot of talent over there still in Dallas. I don't know what happened this year.
Yeah,
but it's still. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, even with Dak Prescott back, I mean, their defense couldn't stop anyone early in the season. I know they got better towards the end of the season, but I mean, they have a lot of holes. I know we see them on paper and we see how many pieces they have, but like we've said that the last 3-4 years, like I just don't believe in Dallas unless they have a major overhaul in that defense and really,
Well, that's what they did. They got a bunch of people. Well, no, not this year. I'm talking about last year. It didn't work whatsoever, but they had 6 previous Pro Bowlers on that defense. Alden Smith, who was the guy from? I think they had a safety from Minnesota. I don't know. They had another dude
But they
on the
also
defensive line.
lost their best cornerback, right? Byron Jones.
Yes, he went to
And they
Miami.
lost.
Yeah, he went to Miami. They drafted one, I think, in the second round, that Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs, yep.
Yeah, that I
Stephon
don't
Diggs.
think that panned out either. I think he may
I
have
think
had
that's
an okay
potential.
year, but I don't know.
Yeah, he has potential.
But as far as I mean, they have too much talent over there for me to write them off. I guess is my point. Will it pan out? I don't know. And I think that if we got a Matthew Stafford, I definitely see us like we have to fill a couple more holes ourselves. We got to fill the linebacker spot. That spot, I don't know what we're gonna do, but we got to fill that spot badly. And then like maybe a second receiver and then a free safety. But if we fill those spots, yeah, I think there's no reason we shouldn't be the favorite. To be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Starts with the quarterback. I mean, I know that's I know everyone knows that, but I'll say it again. It starts with the quarterback. We need to shore out that position, whether it be in the draft, free agency. And hopefully we could get a guy like Matthew Stafford who offers, amazing talent, but also great veteran leadership and also, the will to keep going, right? He's had injuries over the course of his career. Until last year, he was actually pretty available for his team throughout his career. And, he's played through injuries. He's very tough, a very tough quarterback, which, we need in DC, really embodies all what Ron Rivera is about. Speaking of Ron Rivera, I do want to touch on, the positive news that came today that he's officially cancer-free. King Sean mentioned that in the chat earlier.
I did hear that as well. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, I would ask for your thoughts. I don't know if you have thoughts on the situation, but
I just remember when it did. When it did come out. I remember it was not a serious cancer as far as it was a very treatable cancer. But at the same time, it is cancer. It could. There's a percentage chance it could have gone south, but I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad he's healthy now. That's good.
Yeah. Same. And I mean, it's still amazing that he coached during the COVID pandemic with cancer. I mean, he could have just easily, took the year off, or, Jack Del Rio could have stepped up and been the head coach, but no, Ron Rivera stayed committed. And then on top of that, he had, oh my gosh, all the offseason stuff, with the name change, with the front office change, with all the sexual harassment allegations. This man's was really
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins during the season. Like, he really
best quarterback is on one leg.
Oh my gosh.
The quarterback he brought in got hurt. Like
I mean, that is why he is a coach of the year candidate, right? If not, one of the front runners at this point.
If he was 8-8, I might give it to him. If he would have beaten Carolina and moved to 8-8, I think it would be an extremely strong case for him to get the coach of the year. But I don't think you can give coach of the year to a negative or like a below 500 team. I love Ron. I'm happy with what he did, but I don't know if I can give him coach of the year, honestly. But
I agree.
That's my opinion.
At this point, though, I mean, we could talk about it right now in terms of candidates. I think the Sean McDermott, I mean, is sort of, I mean, everyone knows who he is, but I don't think people are talking enough about the job that he did in Buffalo this year. I mean, I know they traded. Yeah, I know they traded for Stephon Diggs, which was obviously a big boost. I know Josh Allen had a lot of progression this year, someone who I believed in. You can check the tape in the offseason, and I thought he was going to be a really good quarterback this year. He showed me signs every single year he's been in the league, and I thought he was going to really break out, much like Lamar Jackson did 2 years ago. Also predicted that. Even with that, Sean McDermott has a lot to do with, Josh Allen's progression and really making the Buffalo Bills offense unstoppable for many periods of time throughout the season. They were a really good offense. I know their defense wasn't as great as it was in previous years, to be honest, but they still held their own, especially towards the end of the season. And I know they're not in the Super Bowl right now, but I mean, I think he's probably the front runner in my opinion. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, like, is there anybody even really competing there? Because you don't really want to give it to like Andy Reid because he has Pat Mahomes. Matt LaFleur has Aaron Rodgers. Bruce Arians has Tom Brady. Plus the plethora of other talent that he has around him. Yeah. So as far as who got to the championship game with the least, it's arguably McDermott. I would have to say it was probably McDermott that got there with the least. I don't even remember the name, like Frank Reich for the Colts, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had a really solid season. I think probably a little bit better than people anticipated, but not on Sean McDermott and Buffalo's level. So
Yeah.
I probably would have to agree. I think I would give it to Sean McDermott. I don't think I
He's
guess
a Ron Rivera disciple too, right? Or he was on his staff.
McDermott.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the. I think he was the DC for that
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl contending team
Yep.
in 2015. So yeah, no, I think you're right. I didn't put too much thought of this to the head of time. That's why I'm sitting here thinking. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see another. All right, definitely not the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah, who is another even a playoff team? Definitely not the Bears. Saints, no.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're right. I think Sean McDermott is the obvious choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which actually, thinking about it more, I think Ron Rivera is the second choice. I don't know if there's really somebody, right? Like, is there somebody that sticks out to you that's higher than Ron Rivera at this point?
I wouldn't say higher, although I mean I think Ron Rivera is in second place. I just think that you have to put a guy like Bruce Arians and even Andy Reid. I know they have the quarterbacks in place, they have all the talent, but it's like, for example, Andy Reid. What, they went 15-1 this year, 14-2 after just winning the Super Bowl. Andy Reid has a lot to do with that. I know Patrick Mahomes does as well, but I mean, at some point you have to credit coaching. And then with the Bucs, I know they have Tom Brady, although he's aging at this point, and they have talent, but Bruce Arians really put all that together in his first year with Tom Brady to make it to the Super Bowl. So in his home stadium. So I mean, you have to put guys like those up there, but.
Yeah, Bruce Arians, I guess you'd have to, like, you have all those egos to manage quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sue just came in, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette. He has a lot of egos that just joined the team. So, yeah. All right, Bruce Arians number 2. You talked me into it.
Okay. I think I'd still put Ron Rivera on number 2 in my opinion. Like I think the things that he's gone through this season, both on the field and off the field, I just think he has to be number 2 at this point. Bruce Arians, I mean, if he didn't have a quarterback like Tom Brady, maybe would be 2, but I guess we can just leave it at that. I see Corey in the chat right now. Corey, shouts out to you for being in the chat. Watson to DC, that's his guy. I mean, that's everyone's guy, but especially Corey.
Yeah.
Since the rumors came out, that's his guy. Not a Matt Stafford fan, but definitely a Deshaun Watson fan. I believe you as well, Tim. Don't think the chances of Deshaun Watson being here in DC are too high at this point. There are a lot of better fits. He has all the leverage. I mean, sure,
even Carolina has what, pick 8 compared to 19.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could get a Trey Lance. If you trade away Deshaun Watson, like,
almost guaranteed.
I doubt Zach Wilson falls to you there, but maybe even a Justin Fields could fall. Like, either one, basically. So you could have a Trey Lance or Justin Fields if you trade with Carolina. With us, you have a Trask or a Mac Jones. I mean, pretty significant drop off.
Yeah, even as a Bama fan, I don't know about Mac Jones, and especially not Kyle Trask. Oh my gosh, if we get him here in DC, man, oh no.
You're not a fan of the Trask, huh?
No, I am not. I am not a fan. I saw what type of performance that he put up in the bowl game, and let's just say it wasn't too hot. That's when the lights shine the brightest. Yep, and he was throwing picks all over the place, and was not protecting the ball, and you need that out of a potential first round quarterback, and he does not give that for you. But I mean, since we're on the draft, are there any guys, maybe even outside of quarterback, that you think Washington should look at potentially drafting first round, second round? I know it all matters in terms of if we do trade for a Matthew Stafford or even in Deshaun Watson in terms of the draft picks that we'll have. But at this point, January 28, 2021, what are some guys you think that Washington should really look after?
Got it. So if we do trade our first round pick for Matthew Stafford, I want some combination of these 3 picks with our second and 2/3 with either Jabril Cox, if he doesn't fall, Dylan Moses, So one of those two linebackers. I want Deontay Brown to shore up my left guard, and I want Caden Stearns to fix my free safety spot. So with those 3 picks, I don't care what order you get them in, whatever order you think you need to as a front office. But those are the 3 guys that I would want to help immediately fix positions of need. And then as far as if we don't trade, this Micah Parsons thing, he keeps falling. He keeps falling on the draft boards. And it might be something that Ron Rivera just can't get past, that he might write him off the board. But I think we have some interesting, good, great, really great defensive leadership that he could be under the wing of, that may be able to right this ship for the young man. You got Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Cameron Curl, and Jack Del Rio is a no-nonsense head coach. Ryan Kerrigan's not going to be here anymore, but you have a Cole Holcomb. Like, you got a lot of good minds. Kendall Fuller as well. Level-headed human beings out there that I think we have a defense that could take this guy under their wing and get him. But we'll see if that happens to drop. If we don't go there, maybe you go for one of these left tackles in that area, like the Alabama left tackle or the Northwestern tackle might fall down to you. Don't go receiver at all cost. Please, no. I do not want one of these receivers at all. I don't like first-round receivers because the talent drop-off typically from first round to second and third isn't as drastic as a left tackle or a quarterback or like a D end or something. I think the drop off talent wise, even though the first rounder might be better, should be better, you could get some really quality guys in like a third or even a 4th round pick sometimes with these great receivers late, because so many people play receiver. Like, it's such a popular position. But I don't want any of the receivers in that spot. And then I may want to trade back if possible, and then maybe take a Zaven Collins. I don't know if I really want to take Zaven Collins at 19. That might be a little bit high, but maybe if one of these receivers that somebody really likes falls and they want to trade up and go get them, I'm cool with that. And then we could take a Zaven Collins potential.
Okay. Yeah, I know 2 positions that will definitely not draft in the first round if we secure that first round pick this year. And you have any guesses on those 2 positions?
The positions that we're not drafting?
Yeah, that we're not drafting. Yeah, for sure in the first round.
I would say D end and D tackle, or
yes.
Is that the 2 that you want to say?
Those are the 2. Those are the 2. Yeah, I know that for sure after a string of first round picks. Oh my gosh, on that defensive line. I will say this. Let's just go with, us keeping the first round pick for now. I will say this, Micah Parsons was at the top of my list. If he does end up falling to pick 19, or maybe if he falls to the middle of the first round, and maybe we could trade up for him, a couple of spots might not be too bad of a trade. He would be a great fit, man. You touched on this earlier in the video. Chris Cooley mentions this all the time. We need a legit starting linebacker on this team. We have a Cole Holcomb who's solid, isn't great, but is solid. John Bostic, nothing more than a backup. Corey, who's in the chat, knows my feelings about him at this point. Nothing more than a backup. I don't care how many tackles he has. He only has that many tackles because he's put in positions to get that many tackles because of the defensive line, not shoring up the run, even though they were very stout against the pass. And Micah Parsons would be a good pick in the first round. Also, you can go with a guy like Alex Leatherwood, like you mentioned, the left tackle from Alabama. Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech, the old Hokie, could also be a good pick there. Although it seems like he is climbing in mock drafts.
Darrisaw is not a left tackle, right? Is he the guard? No,
he's a tackle.
Darrisaw? Oh, he is a tackle.
Christian Darrisaw, yeah. I'm not sure if he's a left tackle, but he is a tackle.
Okay.
Maybe you can, start him at left tackle. But we need tackles, man. I like Cornelius Lucas a lot, but my ideal situation for Cornelius Lucas is if he becomes the Ty Nsekhe swing tackle for us, and we get a legit starting left tackle. And look out for this offensive line. I mean, I don't think the offensive line is bad as is. I think they're actually pretty average when it comes to metrics and stuff. I know it's hard to say that when you watch them give up so many sacks and all that, but when you include run blocking, into the fold, I think they are actually a pretty average offensive line in this league. So if they get a guy at the left tackle position, maybe to shore that up in the first round, that'd be great. I, unlike you, would actually be not thrilled, but kind of okay with getting a receiver in the first round. It just depends on, your evaluation of the receivers and if you really believe that they are first round caliber.
Who's your guy?
I know.
Who's your guy?
I was gonna say, Jalen Waddle is actually my guy in the first round. I did have concerns as a Bama fan that he would be more of a Henry Ruggs type of pick, in that he, being a speedster that doesn't really create too much separation when it comes to like the middle of the field, and doesn't catch too many balls and is injury prone. I understand that he was injury prone towards the tail end of the season, but I just think he has great route running. He offers great speed, of course. I just think he'd be a good pick in the tail end of the first round. I know Rashad Bateman is another guy that a lot of people are talking about. Not too sure about him, but I would say the safe play would be to go after like a Micah Parsons, Alex Leatherwood, Christian Darrisaw. If Kyle Pitts falls to that range, maybe go after Kyle Pitts. That would be an absolutely hit it out of the ballpark type of move, but we'll see. We'll see about that. I will say, Dylan Moses is also another guy we could potentially get, maybe not in the first round, maybe second round later in the draft, whether we had that first round pick or not. But should be interesting. Another guy, I believe we actually talked about this on the last live stream that we had on the channel, but it sucks that he's not going to enter the draft anymore. But Chris Olave from Ohio State would have been a great pick.
The receiver.
Yep, in the second round or third round would have been great, right? He isn't a first round pick by any means, but if we're looking at a receiver, second round, third round pick, we've done pretty well in that aspect in the past. So it would have been great to have him. But I mean,
my late round receiver, though, late round guy that I'm interested in is Arizona State University, Frank Darby. He opted out this year, so he didn't play, but he's a 6-foot dude, runs a 4.3 40. He has a lot of like Terry McLaurin vibes in a sense, like similar size, but that dude looks like he could be a really interesting guy, and you could get him potentially as late as like the 5th round. So 4th, 5th round pick that he is in like that ballpark. And this is what I'm talking about. There's value at receiver later that I think this guy could do it. He's a speedster, dude. 4.31 he ran or something like that. So the guy can fly at a good size, 6 foot 220, I think, something like that. So he's not small either.
Route running solid.
To be honest, I'm not sure about that, to be very honest with you, but he could be a complete bust. I just was looking at some things that is just an interesting guy to look at.
Okay. Yeah, someone who we could look at in the late rounds. We've done pretty well in that aspect in the past as well. I do want to say, Corey, John Opportunity Bostic. Yep, you got it right. Not a huge fan, but I do want to actually talk to you, in case that we don't discuss this on the channel before the Super Bowl, but I want to talk to you about who you think will actually win this year's Super Bowl. It should be an entertaining matchup between I'm not even going to say arguably anymore, the greatest player of all time, Tom Brady, versus Patrick Mahomes, who, really gives you sort of in this matchup, gives you LeBron James versus Michael Jordan type of vibes in terms of the matchup. Should be a really interesting one.
The torch.
Yep. Passing the torch. Well, we'll see. I mean, if Tom Brady, I can never say that with Tom Brady, because I feel like, the next couple of years he'll still be really solid if he decides to play, right? But I was just wondering who you think will win this matchup. Do you think the GOAT will get his 7th championship, or do you think Patrick Mahomes will add another one on his young resume?
Gotcha. So I actually predicted Chiefs versus Bucks prior to the playoffs. So this was my Super Bowl spot. And then I had the Chiefs taking it. And based on what I've watched again in this playoffs, I don't really get off of that. Pat Mahomes is just some sort of freak that is incredible, so accurate, can throw from any spot, off balance. Doesn't matter. His footwork is like so irrelevant because just his arm can get it anywhere on the field. And he has the weapons to do it. Of course, Travis Kelce, of course, Tyreek Hill, Hardman. I don't know about Pringle necessarily, but that's, I think, their 3rd receiver. But I think, and they're also solid defensively. So they're not like some pushovers on Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark. They have
Deshaun.
Brashad Breeland. So it's not a terrible defense either. So I have them taking it, but I do think it should be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think it was a 27-24 game last time they played, where Bucks scored late to make it a 3-point game. But I could definitely see it within 10 points either way. And when you have a game like that, it definitely could go either way. And I'm definitely not counting the Bucs out by any means, but my prediction would be the Chiefs.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think this game is going to be much like last year's Super Bowl, except if you're thinking of the 49ers as the Bucs, I think the Bucs actually have an offense to where, if they get up, with the lead and stuff, I think they'll just keep scoring. I was done counting Tom Brady out years ago, and I'm not counting him out this year. And not only that, I'm predicting the Bucs will win. I think he will win his 7th Super Bowl. I just think the Bucs are rolling right now, hotter than even the Chiefs at this point. And the Bucs, I would say, have even with the Chiefs having a pretty solid defense, the Bucs have one of the best defenses in the league when you think of everything together. The rush defense is the best in the league. I don't even think it's close, in my opinion. And then their pass defense isn't too hot, but when you combine everything, have a lot of talent on that defense. And Devin White, I mentioned this before the Washington game in the walkout round. Devin White is their difference maker on defense. If he's not there, it means it's a big loss on that defense. If he is there, look out. That defense is arguably the best in the league. And they've looked
Front
like
seven is the best in the league. I would definitely agree. I mean, that linebacker duo is insane. Levante David, Devin White, and then Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul on the D-line. Yeah, I agree. They're extremely good on that D-line or front seven.
Yeah, and I think Tom Brady will do exactly what you said he did in the last matchup and score maybe a last-minute touchdown and give the Bucs the edge at the end of the game. Unfortunately, he'll give Brady his 7th Super Bowl. I know we're tired of seeing this man win Super Bowls, but, I mean, if you're looking for the bright side of that, maybe that means he just retires. If he wins the 7th Super Bowl, that's it. So we don't have to deal with him anymore.
Yeah.
But BG fan, Skins fan, what's up, fellas? Appreciate you for joining the chat. But were you going to say something? Sorry, Tim. I don't know if you were going to say something right before I mentioned the comment.
Me?
Yeah.
No. You got it. You got it.
Okay. All right. No. Yeah, it should be a fun matchup, though. I mean, it's crazy. I would have much rather had an Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes type of matchup because a lot of people, debate whether one or the other is the most talented quarterback of all time. But, I mean, this is very much, again, like the LeBron, Michael Jordan type matchup that we obviously didn't get to see in the NBA, but are very much being able to see in the NFL. So it should be a fun matchup. Before, we have 10 minutes left. I do want to ask you, though, moving back to the Washington football team and potentially the Washington football team and some other teams around the league, who do you think is best positioned to be consistent Super Bowl contenders for the long haul? And when I say that, factor out the Chiefs because we know they're going to be here every single year with Patrick Mahomes under center. But what teams do you think will be potentially consistent Super Bowl contenders as soon as next season?
I like the Bills to be back.
Mm-hmm.
I like what they've done a lot. Their offensive line is awesome as well as everything else you mentioned. This is a good question. I haven't thought about this one. So let's see. Who do I think is consistent Super Bowl contenders? Besides the Bills. On the NFC side, it's a very interesting question because like a lot of their quarterbacks are retiring or gone, right? Like if Tampa Bay comes back, they'll be next year, but they're not going to be for long term. Saints just lost their quarterback. Packers, I don't know what they're going to do with A-Rod. On the NFC side, it's wide open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, is there somebody that's just screaming out at you?
Washington football team.
Yeah, Washington football team. If we fix our quarterback spot, we're definitely in that spot. But until then, I'm not going to predict that one. As I said, I never thought about this one. So Denver's an interesting team that could fix themselves if they got a Matt Stafford. They're a very interesting football team.
One of the best defenses in the league.
Defense and offensively, so young. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon. I mean, they have a very interesting dynamic offense. So I guess Broncos could be a team that shows up, but I wouldn't necessarily put them in that category of like, are they going to be Super Bowl contenders?
Yeah.
So I would say like the Bills, and I guess on the NFC, I would still say the Packers are going to be in the conversation for the next 2-3 years as well.
Okay. Yeah, definitely agree with the Packers. I also think that Aaron Rodgers will be back in Green Bay. I know there's rumors about him not being back, but I just think Green Bay is at least going to keep him for the next season and see how things play out. I mean, they need to get this right, man. They've wasted his prime for so many years. They haven't, up until the last couple of years, haven't had a really good defense, and their offensive playmakers outside of they had Aaron Jones obviously and Vontae Adams, but they don't have enough, receivers for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah,
Aaron Jones flopped hard on Sunday.
Yeah, he did. He's still a talented running back, and you got to give him that. But he did, I believe, had a fumble in that game, and
2 fumbles. One was lost.
Yeah, and his ball security.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. He actually got benched, and he didn't play after that fumble in the third quarter. At least I don't remember seeing him. It was a lot of Jason Williams and AJ Dillon.
Yeah, and you just cannot have that in the NFC Championship game. But I mean, they need to add receivers, man. It's about time that they add receivers. They need to really build an offense around Aaron Rodgers instead of have him lead the team single-handedly for so many years. I know they have finally, Davante Adams has progressed to the point where he is arguably the best receiver in the entire National Football League. I get that. I really do. But you need more than that to not just make the Super Bowl, but to ultimately win it. We see that with the Bucs. We see that with the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't just have Tyreek Hill, right? They don't just have Patrick Mahomes. They have all those playmakers. Same thing with the Bucs, right? They don't just have Tom Brady. They have Mike Evans. They have Chris Godwin. They have all these playmakers. They have that great defense. And I think it's time for the Packers to really do Aaron Rodgers right. To be honest, I do think they'll be back. The Bills, they were at the top of my list. I typed up some team names, and the Bills were the top. I'm a huge fan of Josh Allen. I think you know this at this point. I think everybody in this chat knows this at this point. Huge fan of Josh Allen. I think he's only going to take the next step next year and be right back in the MVP conversation at the end of the year. And I think the Bills have, they have draft capital. They have some money to work with. Could get some guys, on that offense, on that defense. They don't have too many needs, but I mean, maybe get a couple guys on the offensive line, even though it's not too bad at this point. The Browns. I think the Browns will be back and be a legit contender next year. After the flop that they had, not this season, but the season prior, they really rebounded this year. I thought they were actually going to have a rebound, and I didn't think they were going to, be as good as they were, but I thought they were going to be, 9-7, and potentially vie for a playoff spot. They ultimately made the playoffs, and they look good. The Browns look really good. I will say, though, you're going to have to figure out what to do with OBJ at this point. Is he going to be back? They played much better. Their offense played better without him. We'll see. It's sort of like a Kyrie Irving type of situation with the Celtics, right? They play better without him, and we'll see if they do ultimately keep him. Another team, big caveats because they need to get the quarterback situation fixed up. But the Colts could be right back into things. They have one of the best defense in the league. They have some playmakers on that offense. Jonathan Taylor was a pretty good rookie running back this year. Had over 1,000 yards, I believe.
They fixed their O-line over the last couple of years too.
Yes. Their offensive line is very good. And they should be back if they have that quarterback. And then another team that a lot of people are writing off, but are forgetting that they weren't where they were last year because of injuries this year, and that is the 49ers. Yeah, that's the 49ers. The 49ers, I know they had Jimmy Garoppolo, who isn't great whatsoever, but I mean, they made the Super Bowl with him 2 years ago, and I think they have all that pieces on their defense. If they get back healthy, Nick Bosa is an absolutely beast, and I know they did trade a stud defensive tackle in the offseason, but they got another guy in Javon Kinlaw who actually looks pretty good. So I think the 49ers will be back into things, and last but not least, give some props to the Washington football team. I think if the Washington football team shores up their quarterback position, I'm not saying they're going to be legit Super Bowl contenders next year, but maybe might not just make the playoffs, but might actually, give some teams a run for their money in the playoffs and push. But
I would say the quarterback and the linebacker spot. I think we have to do a heavy haul on the linebacker. I want 2 new starting linebackers minimally.
Okay.
With Cole Holcomb. And I know KPL didn't play horrible this year, but we got to he could be a rotational guy or something, but we need to fix our linebacker. But yeah, QB and linebacker could be huge for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do want to, again, shout out all the people in the chat. So Jay Martell is in the same boat as you and thinks that the Chiefs will win another Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes will dethrone Brady. But guys, remember, when there's all this chirping on social media, all this chirping in the media in general about Tom Brady and his inability to beat this next great quarterback, he usually comes out on top. So I'm just saying, like, I will go with Brady until I'm proven otherwise. I know he did lose to the Eagles a couple years back. I get that. But I will say this: the Chiefs don't have a ferocious pass rush, which is kind of what you need when it comes to beating Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. What the Giants had twice, and what the Eagles had obviously a couple years back. So I think he will win. I think the Bucs will win. Although it should be a fun matchup regardless.
The last time they
Three-time
played in that AFC Championship game, the last playoff game they played, it was funny to see. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a bunch of scoring at the end of that game. I think it was like 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter in overtime or something like that.
Yeah.
And all of them were by the running back. Neither of these two fantastic quarterbacks threw a touchdown in that stretch of just back and forth. Sony Michel had a couple. Williams, I think it's Darrell Williams or whatever, was the starting running back for the Chiefs at that point. But I don't know. I just thought that was a funny. But it could be another game like that where it comes down to the wire, 43-40 or something, whatever the final score of that game was. It was insane.
Yeah. It's even crazy. Yeah, it's even crazier though when you think of the fact that like the Bucs have the best rush defense in the league, and the Chiefs actually have, I believe, a top 10-ish, top 12-ish type of rush defense. So it should be interesting to see if that type of game will shape out on not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. I do want to say though, we're gonna probably wrap this up. If I see any more comments, I will say this. In terms of the Washington football team, things are looking up for us. Obviously we need to shore up the quarterback position, which we talked about pretty much this entire stream. But if we do that, even if we go after a guy like Derek Carr, I think we should be looking all right next year. I really believe that. A lot of people forget this, but with another year of progression for Chase Young and Montez Sweat, all those guys on the defensive line, another year progression for Cameron Curl, Landon Collins being back. I know all of us don't like him as a pass cover type of guy, but maybe he can move down a linebacker and maybe shore up one of the linebacker spots that I know you, Tim, mentioned that we need to shore up.
I think he's a little light though.
But you could always build. Light. You could always, add on some pounds and add on some muscle, and maybe be, sort of that tweener linebacker that we see across the league. The hybrid linebacker that we've seen, Deion Buchanan type of.
And linebackers have to cover as well. So if he can't cover, then whether he's at strong safety or if he's at linebacker, either way you got to cover. So he's got to work on that no matter what you do. Agreed.
But I think, we'll also be going after a wide receiver in the offseason. I really believe that. I don't think we can just literally, we can't, and we also won't just go with, the wide receiving core next year being the same as is. So it should be interesting to see how things play out. We've already seen a lot of moves in the front office. We should see a lot of moves with the roster, and I'm excited that we'll be here, making good content. Both of us, go check Tim out. I already put his link in the description of his channel. Make sure to check him out. He's a great Washington football team YouTuber, really great YouTuber in general, making great content. I know you've been playing COD on some streams. That's awesome.
Hanging out with the subs.
Yep. And again, make sure to check him out. Very great content. As always. Even the people in the chat, BG fan all day on the Warpath. Make sure to check them out as well if you haven't already. I will say this once again, just to wrap things up. Make sure to look out for that next video on the channel with the ESPN reporter. I think you guys know who it is, but after my hints, but the ESPN reporter will be on. We finally got the interview done today after seems like months of just planning and stuff and just working out our schedules and stuff. So make sure to look out for that. But having said all that, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the DMV Sports Zone channel. We try to post fire content on here as much as possible. Also, go follow our Instagram page, all lowercase DMV Sports Zone, and our Twitter page at DMV Sports Zone, where we post almost daily fire content on there as well. So thank you guys for watching. Again, go check out Tim and his content in his channel in the description. And that's it. Peace.
Have a good one, guys. All right. Awesome. All right. Sorry about that to